folks, and welcome to their Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm back.
Woohoo! Yeehaw! And a little child yells in the background. Welcome back, Mikey.
Thanks for having me back, Matthew.
I'm always happy to have you. In fact, this topic, I really wanted to have you because we have talked about this in a way, TV crossovers, because there have been some TV crossovers in the past that are just wild. When I still see them today, I'm like, how did this happen? Simon and Simon meet Magnum P.I. Mm-hmm. Magnum P.I. meets Murder, She Wrote. That actually happened in a 2-part crossover episode.
It happened.
Dukes of Hazzard meet Alice. Mm-hmm. What the heck? That one really, that was just like, what is, it's like an unfilmed, it's like lost footage whenever I see this kind of stuff. I'm like, whoa, my little brain can't help it. And recently, I've been watching Batman 66 with my little boy, who loves it. And, of course, they have, quote-unquote, crossovers of people, of other TV shows on their station. Of course, Green Hornet was going on at the same time, so Green Hornet and Kato, what's his name, Bruce Lee, are on there. The Window Visitors, very young rockin' Dick Clark opens the window once. Lurch from the Addams Family in Lurch gear, talking like Lurch, and Technicolor, opens the door. And then just recently, Colonel, I can't remember, from Hogan's Heroes. He opens it, and he's
McClink or something.
McClink, yeah. And so Batman says, "Are you sure you should be here? Commissioner Gordon may have to arrest you, for foreigners in Gotham City." And he's looking for another escape route for Hogan. And he said, "Well, tell Captain Hogan we said hello, our friend Captain Hogan." And I was like, that is hilarious.
That was the good old days, though, whenever like every little studio didn't have their hand in the pie and demand big dollars. It was about fun.
It was about fun. I was about to say that. And that's all it was just so much fun. And that's what the one I saw was the Hogan's Heroes cross. I was like, I love that Batman 66 takes place in the same world, technically, as the Addams Family and Hogan's Heroes and a ton of other shows. And that warms the cockles of my heart.
I love the cockles of your heart, Matt.
Thank you. Now, I thought, what other TV crossovers would we like to see? Now, we talked, this is kind of hard, because I think we're going to name a lot of the same shows, but not necessarily the same crossover.
Maybe so.
What do you think? I say we name 1, 2, 3. Oh, should I be bold and say 4? 4 TV shows.
So you're saying shows?
Just shows we'll be mentioning.
I say 2.
That's fair. Okay. Can I go down to 3 then?
You can.
Okay.
You can.
I'll take the over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the price is right.
The closest without going over.
Well, please go ahead. Number 5.
You want me to go?
Oh, I'll go first.
You go first.
I'll go first. Okay, so number 5. And I even have a storyline for this, too. I have storylines for everything.
I know you do.
Okay. It's X-Files meets Highlander.
Okay. I do not have either one of those.
So, Mulder and Scully intercept. Someone dies, and he has the Watcher tattoo on his wrist, and he gives them a file and says, "Take this to Joe." The Bart. So they're like, "What is going on?" They do, and Mulder has seen it. Mulder's on to all the conspiracies. He's seen that, and he's heard it from a cult that watches. People who are immortal. Can you believe that, being immortal? Well, then there's an immortal, of course, going around killing other people and trying to do bad stuff. And, of course, Duncan MacLeod teams up with Mulder and Scully to fight him and behead him. And Mulder and Scully decide to look the other way, that this is the fight of immortals, not for mortals to interfere with later on, and decide to walk away. But Joe thanks them, and maybe one day their paths will cross again. So
nice.
X-Files, Highlander, because they're all about the weird and supernatural.
Right.
Highlander's there, taking place in the real world.
That's weird and supernatural.
I could see them. I could see Duncan MacLeod going up to Scully and go, "I'm Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod," and Scully getting into the triple X-Files.
Oh, whoa.
Wait a minute. That's the Skinamax version of the crossover. Yes. All right, so that's number 5. Number 5 for you.
Okay, my number 5 is Quantum Leap and Anything. Because there were stories, and there was a plan one time that got scrapped. This is a true story of Sam transferring and leaping into Magnum PI.
Which would have been quite possibly the best crossover ever.
Right. Yes.
Ever.
Because then he would have crossed over to Murder, She Wrote, and then they would have crossed over to Simon Simon, and it would have been just this, Caligula orgy of crossovers. But no.
Move aside, MCU.
Yes. But seriously, because I loved Quantum Leap, and I think most people our age did it in some form or fashion, but it would have been cool to see him leap into some other show, leap into some other character, and as a viewer, that character real well. And so, half of the fun is then going to be, like a lot of the show, he leaps into somebody, and, this isn't how this person acts, or how this, race or creed or sex or whatever, because he's been women, and he was black people, and he was this, and he was that. So, how does he act as this person? But then to be a character that we know really well, I think that would have been, a little bit humorous and a little bit funny. And maybe he could have done something as that character that somebody else couldn't do. Maybe he leaps into MacGyver and try to see him get out of a situation or something, and kind of figure out something on his own and then leap out or whatever. So I know it's a little bit of a cheapie, but Quantum Leap into anything would have been wonderful.
Okay. All right. I love it. Number 4. Speaking of Murder, She Wrote, who does she have to team up with to help solve a case for Matlock? I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. Andy Griffith, Angela Lansbury. Mm-hmm. They're legends. 2 successful shows going on at the same time. Worlds should have collided. It would have been perfect. Mm-hmm. Like the murder, and Angela Lansbury's friend was the one that's guilty, but Matlock is defending her. And so while Matlock is trying to defend her, he and Angela Lansbury are trying to go around uncover the mystery too.
Nice.
Of who really killed him. And then they know it, but they can't make the connection to get this guy to admit it. And then Matlock has an idea. It's Angela Lansbury who makes the connection to who the killer is, but now we can't prove it.
Right.
But Matlock has an idea. So in the court, he gets him to confess.
Nice.
And he and Angela Lansbury have it, and they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah, and I was about to say,
there's some
the
Cinemax
chemistry version?
There's some past chemistry.
Because if you give me Angela Lansbury and Andy Griffith doing it, oh yeah.
I think it's all going this way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
And then he goes, "Yeah, would you like to see the Matlock?" I mean, that's just it turns into Sexy She Wrote. Okay,
yes. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there's my number 4. Number 4 for you.
Okay, my number 4 would be the Dukes of Hazzard and Knight Rider. So what I would like to see here is
I love this.
Is some sort of Michael Knight and Kit end up in
Hazard County.
Hazard. For some reason, I couldn't name the name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard. It's late, and I'm kind of sick, so forgive me, audience. So the reason why they would have to come there is because usually the Duke boys did all of their stuff there in Hazard, and Kit just looks like a bad thing. If
right, he looks like a villain.
Yeah, to rural Georgia, that black car coming through there, speeding and doing kind of stuff or whatever. There's going to be reports or whatever. Something's going to go down. Boss Hog. Somebody's going to get involved in
now,
something.
Does Knight Rider did they have a recurring villain? I can't remember.
Not that I know of.
Okay,
I was
going to say
so long since I've watched it.
Maybe
but I can't
someone
remember.
offers Boss Hog and pulls over Knight Rider and pounds the car, is going to sell Kit to the highest bidder because new some fangled contraption. So the Duke boys have to get in, break out, release Kit because Boss Hog has no legal right to keep him. So
right.
So if they steal him out, he can't complain.
I would love that. I don't know.
And there you go.
Whatever happens, happens.
And then at the end, it has to go, want to race? And they go, okay.
Yeah.
And then they race, and right as it's coming to the camera, that's when it pauses. And, it goes to the credits.
Like a Rocky 3 where they almost
the
hit each other and then stop.
zing,
No, I want to see. Yeah, I just want to see both of those cars just tearing ass. Just both jumping. Whatever. Maybe they both jump towards each other at the same time and it stops.
Now that kid, it can sure talk up a storm. Mm-hmm. But the General Lee, it has its own way with words.
Exactly.
That's what I want. I can see this.
Mm-hmm.
This is fantastic. Mm-hmm. This is fantastic. I love it. I'm loving this. Okay, number 3 is an easy one. This is low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit, because I had to do it. Of course, Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman, Linda Carter.
Oh, Linda Carter.
It would have been. I mean, and the thing is, I don't know if these happen on the same station. Obviously, it's a decade later when Wonder Woman hits the small screen. But they could have dug up Adam West and Burt Ward and played them together, and it'd have been a great episode, right? And Batman and Robin get to play a little bit more straighter. I don't know in Linda Carter's world, but to see the DC superhero team up back then, because I mean, Hulk. The Incredible Hulk actually had Thor, Daredevil, and who else did they have? I thought they had someone else too. It'll come to me later.
Like Bill Bixby?
Yeah, Bill Bixby.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it had Thor and Daredevil. And Daredevil was supposed to get a spinoff and have his own show. They even signed a contract, got it ready, but then they had to cancel it because someone else wanted to put a show on the TV at that time too. And they said, well, in 1990, and they said, well, we can't have 2 shows, so we got to pick one. And they picked The Flash.
Yeah, I remember The Flash at that time, and then there was a
But
Captain
the Flash
America
is
movie.
and they had to buy out all the Daredevil actors.
Wow.
Because they'd already signed them on for a season. But one of the Bill Bixby movies had Daredevil in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is why, and he looked terrible.
Sure he did.
He looked terrible. Thor, the Thor episode, or maybe it's a movie too. Maybe Thor was a movie too, is excellent.
Yeah?
Is excellent. There's some great scenes with Thor.
I need to go back and watch that.
He is the man's man, Thor, and he is great. He's drinking a pitcher of beer. Not a mug of beer, a pitcher, and he's drinking from it. He's just,
Did he have on tight Jordache jeans?
No, but he goes around shirtless enough.
Okay.
And then, of course, Batman and Wonder Woman do it. Okay, so there you go.
All right, my number 3, I actually am not going to give any explanation to this because it's stupid. I don't have any reason why I want this other than it was just my teenage years. Friends and Seinfeld. Next.
What would a Friends and Seinfeld look like?
I don't want it to be anything like me and you have been talking about, right? I don't want it to be any big plot. What I want is...
Well, I mean, nothing happens, obviously.
Exactly.
Are they sitting in the coffee shop?
Yeah, I want something like they're in the coffee shop and then like George comes in and gets a coffee and leaves. Or, something random.
No, George goes on a blind date with Phoebe.
Okay, yeah, something like that. Something
and then
small.
they don't really like, but they feel like they have to invite each other to each other's parties.
Right.
And so she invites some people, he invites his friend, and they have something together, and they have this little weird get together where everyone's kind of, making cracks and talking to another.
Right. Something
and
like
talking
that.
about nothing.
It's just, those are two
But you love
different
those shows.
Yeah, they're 2 of my favorite shows of all time. Friends is my favorite show of all time. And they're 2 totally different vibes, and they wouldn't mix. So it just would have been cool.
Slightly off topic. My brother is currently watching Cheers.
Love it.
Now, I know you love it. My brother is over the moon on how awesome this is. He said the little, what's it called before the intro starts, the little teaser shot. Yeah. He said a lot of the times they nail it. It's one joke that doesn't matter anywhere else, and they nail it and then move right into Cheer. That dun, 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 dun. And he said it's perfect. And at this point, he's on season 1. At this point,
he ain't seen nothing yet.
But he said there's no Woody Harrelson, there's no Frasier.
Yeah.
He said, and it's awesome. Like it went out the gate. It was it, but it did so poorly in the ratings. But this is back. This show would never survive in today's world. But it did so poor in the ratings. But this is back in the day when TV shows, studios gave them a little bit, let it get its feet out from underneath. Now they cut it.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't perform, cut it. Cut it. But they would, he said they gave it a chance, and it slowly, Every season started gaining a little bit more viewers until it became what it was. But it
Right.
kept going up in the rank. But it was something that never would have been around today.
That's what happened to Seinfeld. That's legendary.
Yeah,
Like, their
but-
first season's horrible.
Yeah, but he said it's so rare that you don't see that anymore, and it's such a good thing because he said, man, he said it wasn't that it was bad. He said it's just that no one knew what it was and no one was watching it at first. He went, but out the gate, everyone was was kicking all cylinders.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think Friends is not Friends. Cheers is the show that's responsible for starting Must See TV.
Oh, really?
On NBC's on Thursdays. Because
Well-
shortly thereafter, The Cosby Show came on, and they just kind of built from there.
Built from there. I saw the because it was so big at the end. I saw the finale like a ton of people did, and I thought, even though I don't have many memories of the show, I thought the finale was well done.
It's one of the best.
We're closed.
Yeah.
And it's just him, and it's just a
picture.
nice little end, and in the picture,
Yeah.
straightens the picture up,
Yeah.
and then leaves. And that's a way
beautiful.
to hang your hat. And so many TV shows these days, like Big Bang Theory. It's not that it was terrible; it just ended. You're like, okay, a lot of shows just end, and they're not. They don't nail the ending.
Right.
They don't nail that ending.
One of the hardest things to do. Stick the landing.
I did see the finale of Friends. I thought Friends stuck it because
I
they
did too.
wanted to. But the thing is, though, all the actors they were friends in real life. They knew that was the last scene they were going to film together, and so the weight of that scene is shown with their faces, how they talk, how they're walking out, and they know this is it, holding hands, walking off to the sunset, and it's a good way to end a show. And I think shows miss the point. Like, how do we end this? I think there's a lot of questions nowadays on how do we end this, and you shouldn't be able to ask that. If you've seen the show, if you've been watching the show, if you've been writing for the show, you should know the natural way it just ends. You
would
say
think.
goodbye.
One would think.
One would think, but they just don't make shows like that with sticking the landing.
Right.
Man, that's another TV episode we can do. Shows that killed it, and the best finales and the worst.
I love it.
Anyway, where are we? 2.
Yeah, you're number 2.
Some crossover here. I do have a Quantum Leap. It was number 2, and it's so good, so good. I say it because the idea of the story behind it is why, like, which ones I rank these on which ones I want to see.
Okay.
It was very hard because I want to see all these. Quantum Leap. Sam jumps into a body, doesn't know. Of course, he has to look in the mirror and say, "Oh boy," right? And when he looks in the mirror, Zach Morris says, "Oh boy."
Yes.
It is a Saved by the Bell. There's what you were looking. There was
Yes.
the missing link to your Quantum Leap.
He gets to make it with Kelly Kapowski.
No, he's got to apologize for the way they treated Tori.
Oh.
And wrote around the story,
Dang.
Tori's gone, so he has to make amends and become her friend. And he lost her as a friend, which is going to hurt him in his life going forward because he needs her. Because later on, they meet later on in life, and they form this business together that's super popular. But because of the way he left things with Tori, it's rocky, and they never meet. So he's got to right this wrong.
Okay.
All right.
Does Sam get to time out like Zach used to do?
Oh yeah. I mean, we can do the timeout thing, but when Sam appears, he's trying to tell him, I was like, hold on, timeout. He's like, well, how'd you do that? He went, I don't know. This guy can do it in this world, But anyway, the thing is, though, wonderful. We get a Saved by the Bell. We get some Quantum Leap. We get something explained to us. So I think it's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. That's your Quantum Leap connection there.
All right.
All right. So number 2.
My number 2. Now, technically, this crossover did happen in comic book form in 2016. But it's still on my list because I would have loved to have seen this back when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I'm happy that they did do it. But it is a He-Man Thundercats crossover. Because those shows were so similar. And back in the day, if those two cartoons could have gotten together, then it would have been amazing. Now, the story that they chose, I don't really know all of it. You'd have to look it up yourself. But it had something to do with, who's the main bad guy on the Thundercats? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But whoever he is got defeated again by Lion-O and all those people. But then some like wizard friend of his or special counsel of his told him that there was a weapon out there that could help him defeat Lion-O, and it's the sword of Grayskull. And so he goes to Eternia to try to get it, and then there's this big, huge battle. It's a great comic book. Have you read it?
No.
Oh, yeah. I can give you a
Whoa.
copy. Yeah, I mean, I got a digital copy I can send you.
You know who thought of that? Someone like us.
Exactly.
Who wrote that book.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? Would it be really cool?
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea.
Yeah. So, that's a great idea. I'll just stick with that idea. I don't have any ideas. I just know I loved both of those shows. So together, that would have been awesome just to see, all those muscles brooding and glistening. And wait, that's a different Cats.
I don't know.
That's a
I forgot to mention that Sam inside Zach does it with Tori. So I mean, we got to keep that. Got to keep that brown chicken, brown cow.
Yes.
Side storyline there. No, that's interesting.
So He-Man, Thundercats. Yes.
He-Man, Thundercats. All right. I was never the He-Man fan growing up. I knew about it. Some other cartoon came on at the same time, and you were either this or that. If you remember these days,
you had to choose.
You had to choose back in the because we were abundance and riches. And the reason I chose whatever cartoon it was that I hated the whole Prince Adam is He-Man, and no one knew. Prince Adam wears a shirt, He-Man doesn't.
It's very Superman.
It's worse than Superman, but it's like if Prince Adam were to go swimming and go, whoa!
You look a lot like
like He-Man. I never saw this before because you wore a shirt. But I think that was the straw that broke. And even though a lot of people were big He-Man fans.
Oh yeah.
And I for the life of me, like I said, everyone, and this is the thing, local programming. What I watched as a kid, you watched differently. Like when. We were talking about old cartoons. I was telling you about all these old cartoons I watched. You're like, I've never, what's it, Biscuits? What is that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it came on all the time. You didn't get Biscuits? But the thing is, though, local channels back then, there was no big Comcast or Time Warner. There were smaller stations, and they played whatever they wanted to. Like your local newspaper only had the certain comic strips, other people didn't. I was so mad that my grandmother had Star Wars and Spider-Man in her comic strip, and we did not. I was like, oh my gosh, because I was reading Spider-Man and Star Wars, and I was going, I didn't know Star Wars were reprints, but I was like, this is awesome. Why can't our comic strips have this? And or what was the other one that we didn't have that I thought was funny? There was one with the little kid with the glasses, and he had a little lizard as a pet. And I can't remember, but it was when Calvin and Hobbes had ended. This was going on for other people. I can't remember what it was called. But I was like, man, I wish we had this comic strip, and we didn't.
In Bastrop, I had Beetle Bailey, Peanuts, Snuffy Smith.
We had all those. We had, what was the Marmaduke, which was never funny. Hagar the Horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Wizard of Id.
Oh, yeah. Family Circus.
Family Circus was just so stupid. What were the other? You said Snuffy Smith. The classics,
I like
there was
Beetle Bailey.
Who was the girl? Nancy.
Garfield.
Nancy, with the hair. Garfield, you had, yeah.
I love me some Garfield though.
Charlie Brown, Peanuts was great. Yeah, I like me some Garfield and Peanuts, and of course Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin and Hobbes is
number one.
I still have that set. Oh, it's downstairs. But that 3-volume hardback set, if when was the last time you reread Calvin Hobbes?
Not too long ago, because as you know, it is my favorite comic strip as well.
Is this not the time capsule of what it was like to be a kid?
Yes.
I mean, honestly,
it gets better as I get older.
It's so good.
Yeah.
When I've read this thing through about 3 times now, I will read it through again, but when I read it, I'm like, this is my child. This is me. If you want it, if my kids say, Dad, what was it like growing up? Read Calvin and Hobbes. Read Calvin and Hobbes. I mean, and the thing is, Bill Watterson was an adult. How did he know what we were thinking? How did he know what children would love?
He was a kid.
He was a kid at heart. But I mean, he was a kid. But I mean, that's just, it resonates so much today with me. Anyway.
Are you sure you're not going to hand them a subscription to Cinemax? Your kids.
Oh, yeah. No. Calvin and Hobbes?
No. As in, what was it like being a kid? Here's this subscription to Cinemax, son.
No, I won't give him Cinemax. No. Here's here's a grainy antenna, and every 15 seconds, you'll get one clear shot for 2 seconds. And it's worth waiting another 34 seconds before the next one comes up. All right, anyway.
You're number one.
My number one, and this is another type of crossover. I do have Dukes of Hazzard as well, so you win. It's only 2. Dukes of Hazzard and Magnum PI.
Once again, that would be great.
Now, again, Magnum, I don't think the Dukes can leave Hazzard County. I agree with this. So Magnum has to go. Why does Magnum go? Because Higgins was on to see his uncle or whatever in Hazzard County. He got put in jail by Boss Hogg. So now Magnum has to go bail him out, and he gets in there. But then he finds, a scandal going on that someone stole money from the Hogg's Nest or whatever. And so he's trying to figure it out. Boss Hogg is accusing Higgins. Maybe that's why Higgins got arrested, because he thought Higgins was in on it, but Higgins wasn't. So they had to figure out who did it. And all to find out at the end, of course, Boss Hogg stole the money for insurance purposes, trying to pin the blame on Higgins just to cause a ruckus. But he and the Duke boys figure it out. They have a great scene where they jump, and the Duke boys are laughing, and Magnum PI is not laughing. He's screaming because he's scared. And, of course, Magnum can wear shorty shorts.
Oh, yeah.
And everything, too. And, of course, Magnum and Daisy Duke.
They both wear Daisy Dukes.
But, of course, Magnum and Daisy Duke are going to be a thing during this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because brown chicken, brown cow.
Yes.
But, no, I thought that'd be great, though.
That would be great.
To have that. Now, you can't have Sonny in this one, so it has to happen later on in the episodes here. Speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, real quick, did you ever read that book?
I still have not.
Oh, my gosh. It is excellent. Like I said, it explains why the Dukes were gone in season 5 and how they came, but where they were and what adventure they took on the NASCAR circuit. But Eric Stossel or whatever, whoever wrote it, just like an episode. I can see the episode. Nailed it. I'm so happy. Such a good novel. Megan never read it either, but I thought it was excellent.
And she's the big Duke fan.
She's the big Duke fan. All right, so numero uno.
Okay.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, because I think that you're going to agree once you let me cheat just a little bit.
Please. Cheating.
And I think that you'll agree, and I think that you'll like it.
Are you going to do a movie crossover?
No.
Okay.
No. These were technically TV shows.
Okay.
Okay. Hear me out here. Okay. I wanted, and we all wanted, nothing more in the 90s than to see a legitimate WWF and WCW crossover.
Oh, okay. That's true.
Now, what we got was defectors, and one going to the other, and the other going to the other, and the NWO and the Outsiders and all that. But I'm talking like a clear,
a true crossover of both brands.
Yes.
Nitro versus Raw.
Right.
At the height of its career.
So not like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall showing up. Because that was awesome. The reason why that was awesome is because that's what we all wanted to see. Yeah. But not kayfabe and not pretending that they don't exist. Like legitimately, Sting coming down from the rafters, on a Nitro. On a Raw.
On a Raw. So, all right, do you have a card?
I could make up one real quick.
Please go ahead. Okay. Who does Hogan battle? Does he battle Steve Austin?
No, because that's two different timelines in WWF.
Okay,
right.
Well, he was still going strong in Nitro.
He was. Now Hollywood Hogan, but they had that opportunity, right? Because whenever the NWO came back,
but they never did it.
It was just Hogan versus Rock, and then it was Stone Cold versus who was it? Maybe Nash or Hall?
Yeah,
maybe it was Hall, I think, and that was WrestleMania 18. I'm talking like mid-90s.
Go for it.
Sting versus Shawn Michaels. Because Shawn Michaels
that'd have been good.
Never went over, and Sting never went over. Yeah. So that's kind of like the top of the card to me.
That's the main event.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's a good main event.
Yeah. Well, you got the showstopper.
This has to be a pay-per-view now.
Well, yeah, of course it's going to be a pay-per-view.
The buy rate is insane.
It's not going to be Raw on Netflix or anything like that.
Who comes out on top?
Shawn Michaels. You know,
Which would happen. All right.
something like then like the Undertaker versus who would be somebody great from WCW. That was, you know, I mean, most of those WCW guys ended up over and probably wrestled.
I mean, if you're looking at early 90s, what 90s, 90s.
Right.
I mean, you got to look at some of the classics maybe who were still, but see, all of them met the Undertaker at one point, I think.
They did. So it's more
Like, did Macho Man meet the Undertaker?
Well, oh yeah, like,
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
So it's one of these things of like you have to forget what we know now and forget that WWF bought WCW and a lot of them did end up eventually meet. You know, you just have to think of like that world versus that world, you know, colliding, and that's what I want to see.
There you go. All right, fair enough. That's fair. All right, so listeners, TV crossovers. What you got? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on Saturday morning.
Samoflange. Hey, what if it was like Silk Stockings and Red Shoe Diaries crossover?
Brown chicken, brown cow.